Welcome to our Meet the Experts film animation panel. We're here with Tomm Moore from Wolfwalkers, Dan Scanlon from Onward, Kris Pearn from the Willoughbys, and Walt Dohrn from Trolls World Tour. Thank you all for being here. We'll start off simple. When did you first know you wanted to work in animation? Let's go to Dan.
I think, just growing up drawing all the time, watching the Muppets, which I know aren't animated, but they're just such a great designs, and watching Chuck Jones films, shorts, Warner Brothers shorts, all of that I think made me think I want to be someone who can put on a show, and yet I never want to be on stage. So how is that possible? And it's through animation.
I was about 18 actually. Like I was always the art kid, and I was into comics and really doing the school paper and stuff. But I always thought drawing was something that you grow out of and have to get a real job. And then found out about Sheridan College, and this is before the internet. Like I didn't know what a peg bar was. I didn't know people actually made cartoons. I grew up on a farm in the middle of nowhere. So the idea of getting in a car and driving two and a half hours to a place where I could learn to do to draw for a living. I kind of came to it late, and I think being the art kid was how I stopped people from beating me up when I was a kid. So I think like that survival instinct still is there today. I think it's it's been the gift, the goose that keeps laying the egg is being able to draw. So
yeah, I always think of, there's a late night talk show in Irish TV called The Late Late Show, and it's a long running talk show. And I remember, I think it was around 1986, and I was asleep, and my parents woke me up out of my bed and said, "Come down and see who's on The Late Late Show. You like him." And it was Don Bluth, and he was on drawing the little boy from All Dogs Go to Heaven. And my little naive eyes went, "What? This is a thing you can do?" And they're doing it in Dublin. So yeah, but by the time I graduated from college studying animation, the Don Bluth studio was gone and everything. So I just had to kind of keep going on my own.
Yeah, I think like Dan, very early on, I knew I wanted to get into animation. Growing up watching Disney movies, I grew up in Ojai, which is a very small town. We had one movie theater, and they'd reissue the Disney movies. And I fell in love early on. And then I learned as a kid, there's this person, Walt Disney. We have the same name, and he also had the same birthday as me. So I said, "Oh, December 5th." I was like, "This is a sign. I must follow this path."
Not just the same name, but the same initials.
Yeah, same initials.
WD.
Birthday. There it is. So soon I will have my theme park. Just have to.
Do you remember the first thing you drew, Kris?
I think it was probably a goat. Yeah, I grew up on a we had a pygmy goat farm. I say that with hesitation because we weren't actually making any money off the pygmy goats. They were just kind of pets, and parents worked in the city. But yeah, I think I was always drawing animals. Like I remember actually when I did my first job interview in LA in 2000 at Sony, they asked me what kind of movies do I like. I said I like animals, which was the dumbest answer for a job interview, but they still hired me. But yeah, that's probably mine.
If you can't see mine, I have the first thing I started drawing was Charlie Brown, all the Charles Schultz things. I have Charlie Brown right behind me. I think I went from drawing like Snoopy and Charlie Brown. I graduated to Garfield, which I became kind of the master of drawing Garfield for elementary school.
Garfield's hard. Off by a mile, yeah.
I have a photo on when I'm about 3 years old. It's standing in front of a blackboard where I've drawn what's supposed to be Popeye and his dog, and my parents thought it was fantastic. It looks rather Picasso-esque, but they took a picture of it, so that was enough encouragement for me.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're also lucky, it's so nice when you have supportive parents who see that. Like I said,
delusional parents for my
right.
Yeah.
Dan, what about you?
I drew the Muppets a lot. That was mainly it.
Well, all of your films harken back or use traditional animation in some way. So how do you think CG can continue to experiment with new techniques while incorporating older animation styles? Walt, let's go to you.
Yeah, we, as you said, much like Kris, like we used a lot of, we got rid of motion blur. We used a lot of kind of stop motion effects to make it feel more handmade. And I definitely see in the future of animation, like more niche films. I think now as we see it, it feels like there's going to be a more diverse movies. We already see it in Tom and Kris's movies for sure, where we will be able to explore kind of these like handmade traditions, but using our digital tools, I think.
I loved, Tom, what you were talking about with using CG and drawing over it for your backgrounds.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was
sounds so cool.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, no, it was something that we'd never thought of doing before, but one of the younger guys in the studio used VR to build the backgrounds, and then he could move the camera through and then print off every frame and draw with pencil and charcoal on paper, almost like completely reverse engineering the way you'd think of it. And then somewhere along the line, we discovered grease pencil and Blender that made it even easier to draw. So yeah, did you see how I lost my body?
Yeah, that's how they did that.
That was super interesting, right? Yeah, that was really super interesting. We saw that in the middle of production. We were like, wow, that looks really exciting. For next time,
it's good to have those young guys.
Yeah, but we were saying like next time we won't have to get our hands so dirty, But I don't know. I think I'd miss the pencils, to be honest.
Yeah.
Kris, anything you want to add?
Well, I think it's a long-standing thing that animation's an art form, not really a genre. So I think as you get different filmmakers from all over the world finding the best way to illustrate their stories, I think it's really cool that the technology is like it is creating accessibility opportunities. If let's face it, it's a business, so we all don't have unlimited resources in terms of how to make stuff, but like now we can trick that computer into doing things like that, like what you were talking about, Tom, which is really cool. And I think it lets the artist whose vision the film wants to be, like, they have more control over that. And I don't know, it's different than live action. I'd rather see cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Animated films are, targeted towards children, but they often have very big themes, and all of your films have those, also similar themes too. But how hard is it to distill a message into something entertaining and understandable for kids? Tom, let's go to you.
I was afraid you'd say that. No, but I actually found it really interesting listening to everybody else speaking about it, because it's really true. It doesn't matter, everyone makes movies for themselves as well as for their audience, and you sort of have to feel like this is something important to you, or else you couldn't spend whatever 3, 4, how many years working on it. And I always love this old quote I heard Chuck Jones said once, that was, you have to make cartoons that are, intelligent enough for children, but simple enough for adults to understand as well. I always think like that, But I don't know. I loved, there's movies I loved as a kid that I didn't fully get, like E.T. And I remember loving E.T. and drawing E.T. and dreaming about meeting an E.T. That'd be amazing. And then I watched it with my son when he was about 10. I went, this is a movie about divorce. This is a movie about, a kid who misses his dad, who's off with his girlfriend in Mexico or something weird. But like, this movie's got another level that as an adult, I totally related to, and I could enjoy it again. And those are the kind of movies I aspire to.
I had the same thing happen to me when I watched Time Bandits like about a month ago. I hadn't seen that since I was a kid. I loved it when I was a kid, and I didn't realize that we kind of stole the parents from Time Bandits and put them in the Willoughbys. But like, it's funny what you remember and what you don't remember. Like as like time kind of rounds off those edges. But as an adult, things they look different. It's kind of cool.
And it is important. Yeah. I don't think we very often talk about like, ooh, will kids like this or get this? It doesn't come up much. And then the issue of like, is this too scary? Sometimes you have to think, our favorite movies were full of scary stuff. That's why we remember them. And I understand as parents, we want to protect our children from that, but within reason. You need a scary villain. You need those thrills. And but yeah, I mean, obviously we give some thought to things that are too horrifying, but like you said, we make them for ourselves first.
Yeah, or we say, we're making movies for everyone, or making movies for humans, So when you're doing that, you're thinking, is it clear? Whether, no matter what your age is, whether it's 4 or 90, is this story point clear? Yeah, even if I was just given my choice, this is my favorite kind of challenge. How do you make a movie for everybody? I think is such a great creative challenge.
And finally, what are some of your favorite animated films, Dan?
I'm trying to think. Does somebody else want to go around? I have all of ours. Yeah.
You can say Muppets for now.
No. I don't know. It's always such a tricky question. To say favorite is always so hard. It puts so much emphasis on, I grew up with Aardman and Disney, and I never really had a specific love of a particular style of animation. I just liked a good story. But like you were saying, there are so many. Someone was mentioning earlier, maybe it was Tom, about comic books and getting a lot of inspiration for them. There's so many great things going on with comic books and graphic novels right now, and I'm so excited to see it spilling into animation, and seeing those stories get more personal and get more, and trying new things and trying different styles. So I'm just excited about a lot of stuff that's happening right now. But my answer is the South Park movie. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's
amazing.
So.
Yeah. I grew up with like Bill Watterson was probably like the gateway drug, and Jim Davis. Actually, Garfield was a big one too. But I do remember like Secret of Nim. You brought up Dawn, Tom. Like that one bounced hard. I remember like getting we had this thing called Apple, where they would, like, before Apple was Apple, they would bring books to the school and you could buy them off. And I remember getting the Secret of Nim book and just the cover and like those fingers that would do that. Like that blew my mind. And then when I graduated from college, I got to work with Dawn, and it was just that film kind of was the first movie that I was like, that's cool. That one, just because it was also a little dark and there was some blood, and it was, I don't know, it hit me right when I was ready for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Tom.
I guess Secret of Nim was a big eye opener for me. I remember getting entranced by it at a birthday party. They put it on for some younger kids, and I sat down, and I remember looking behind me, and all my buddies were like, he's sitting with the little kids watching a cartoon. I was like, get lost, it's the stuff. And I really
those cool wobbly swords,
Yeah, it was cool. But that was when I think that The Secret of Nim was what was put on for the little kids to watch, and I think we worry about, right? But definitely my favorite animated movie that I do keep going back to, in all honesty, is Princess Mononoke. I find it one of those movies that I can endlessly rewatch, and I keep finding more in there,
Yeah, I think Spirited Away, for me, I definitely go back to that one many, many times. And for me, it was a lot of the kind of psychedelic movies, always, from like Fantasia to Disney did those package movies in the 40s, like Make Mine Music and The Arrows. That stuff is so wild and psychedelic, like that stuff. So really, Three Caballeros I go back to, and Spirited Away. Yeah,
those are psychedelic movies, man.
Very
Spirited Away.
Yeah. And Nick Park stuff really holds up too. I mean, I tend to I love Wrong Trousers and what have you. Like they just
so much character.
Yeah,
into like just a little piece of plasticine moving. The little penguin, the little penguin and the plasticine. All his personality is in. Is like that's animation.
And like I love the way that Nick uses quiet, like the way he uses that kind of awkward sort of moment that I noticed when I lived in England, like just that sort of seems like a very British thing, like awkward, quiet moments, and I loved it.
I have a theory about British comedy that it's all based on how inappropriate something is. They're so class-based, like they just go silent. I can't believe you said that, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's that and Men in Dresses, right? Those are like kind of the two high.
Right? All right, guys. Well, it was great speaking with all of you. Congratulations on all your films, and have a great day. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Nice to see you guys. It's